Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Advisor. I am Lisa Urbanski, co-host of the show, here with two very special guests today. They are with BioOx, and I cannot wait for them to tell you all about the bioreactor, which is an air scrubber. And I'm not sciencey, so I'm going to let them, take that over. If you did not listen or watch the first episode with these two amazing humans, go back and listen to it, watch it once, watch it twice, send it to your friends because they talk about bio-oxygen water. And if you know anything about the air or the water quality that we're putting in our bodies unknowingly, and the stuff, what happens when you put bio-oxygen water into your body, you're going to learn all about that in the first episode and how impactful that can be for your health. So I am here with Lisa Routal and Sam Sopher. Now, Lisa is the Chief Strategy Officer for BioOx, and Sam is the Chief Science Officer and founder of BioOx. Such an honor and pleasure. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
How are you both doing today?
Very well. We appreciate being on the show again and sharing our Science of Rocks school of thought with your audience. So really appreciate the time today.
Amazing, amazing. Now, Sam, let's start with you. Do you want to introduce yourself, reintroduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Sam Sopher, and we're in New Jersey. And I was recruited actually by the New Jersey Institute of Technology to be chair professor of biotechnology. And that's a very, very good job. It's non-peer review, and that's a good thing because it allows you to think out of the box and still funds your research. So by now, I quit my job there in order to work in a commercial basis to make it happen outside of the university. The university was perfect, but this is quite a challenge and it's more perfect. So my job is to get the discoveries we made out to everybody. And the basic discovery has to do with oxygen and how our body uses oxygen. And what I discovered was that something has to happen to the oxygen before it's soluble. And in other words, most of the oxygen that you breathe, does not absorb. The body has to take it and make it into absorbable oxygen. That's what I discovered. And from that, we made three different products. One is the absorbable oxygen that you can drink. And another one is bioreactors, bioscrubbers, like pictured here, that scrub the air clean, they wash the air, and they eat all the toxins. For instance, they eat gasoline. So when they wash the air, your lungs don't have to wash it. Your oxygen reserves go up. Your liver doesn't have to digest the gasoline and all the other stuff in the air. And so your reserves go up. When your oxygen reserves go up, that is your absorbable oxygen goes up, then you can fight disease, you can fight cancer, and you can be a better athlete and live longer.
So let me
So
ask you this.
go
When
ahead.
I want to interrupt you because I know our audience doesn't quite know fully the things we're talking about. So if we provide clarity, they'll understand it better. When you talk about scrubbing the air, what are we scrubbing the air from?
You want to take that or shall I?
Oh, well, our air scrubber in particular really addresses, so it decontaminates the air, captures and destroys contaminants in the air. And there's all various categories. We don't discriminate with
Yes.
certain categories. So it can be particulates. And what really differentiates our air scrubber is that the particulates can even be very fine particles, ultra fine particles. So this reverts to particle size. So typically, air, air scrubbers, air purifiers, they typically target 0.3 microns, that size, whereas ours goes down to all the way down to 0.0001 microns. So
So
again,
it's
we have,
very small, small particles your
yes.
product can remove from the air, like the smallest of small.
Yes.
And on also one point, because it is so small, that reverts back to all of our categories. So Again, like the particulate matter, so we're used in industrial spaces, say like flavors where there's powders. You don't want to contaminate a mint flavor with a nearby cherry flavor, those type of things. But also with viruses, in particular, viruses, bacteria, that's much smaller. So our air scrubber, again, impacts particulates like particle matter, say like the powders for flavors, but also viruses and bacteria. And we really wanted to go into that. But also on top of that, a lot of volatile organic compounds like solvents. And Sam has tremendous experience with different facilities, say wastewater management, those type of things where you have those heavy smells like H2S. So again, our
Right.
bioreactor captures and destroys all those different categories.
Wow. So how does it work?
So I'd like to add to that. That goes along with your question as to how it works. Uh, there really is two kinds of air contaminants. There's two kinds of things you have to do. One, people normally know, they suck the air out of the building and push it out. That costs money in air conditioning and everything. But not
Yeah.
everything can move with the air. Not everything is suckable, so to speak. For instance, viruses can go into aerosols. Aerosols
Yeah.
work electrically. They're like an electrical cloud. So if somebody with a disease like COVID sneezes in several rooms down that way, we can still catch COVID because of this aerosol, this electrical
Hmm.
cloud. So by washing the air, it grounds the air. And by grounding the air, it captures the viruses, it captures the aerosol. That's one thing that I wanted to mention. Another one is when Lisa says it's 0.0001 microns, it means like things like formaldehyde, for instance. Everybody's afraid of formaldehyde, and rightfully so. It does cause cancer, and it's in everything, in furnitures, in paints, in carpets. So this not only captures it, but it actually biologically digests it. What we do when we breathe in
Wow.
formaldehyde, our liver protects us by oxidizing it. This does the job of your liver. So it does the job of your lungs partially by cleaning the air, and your liver partially by destroying the contaminants. It will destroy viruses. It will destroy COVID. It'll destroy C. diff. It'll destroy MRSA. So it does it's a substitute for us. It really helps us live longer.
And we saw
You
real
know,
life examples. Our bioreactor was used, for example, and it still is, in a dental operating room during
mm,
COVID. So during COVID, a dental operating room, they still had to have cases, especially these emergency type of cases. So we saw a lot of interesting dynamics. Number one, the dental operating room that used our bioreactor, they saw no cases of COVID originating from their OR. And then also it really works twofold. Like what Sam was saying, it captures and destroys these viruses. But on top of that, it also at the same time builds up your immune system internally. It builds up those reserves of oxygen internally. That reverts back to ROX. We've said ROX, reserve of oxygen. And that in turn
yes.
builds your immune system. So it's a whole life cycle. So for example, it decontaminates the air, it builds up your reserves of oxygen, and then also healthier people and healthier air altogether. It has like a communal effect. Say if
Mm,
there's a sick person, if they're surrounded by healthy people and healthy air, that also boosts that immune system. So you really need to have that effect both externally and then internally within your system.
yes. And so how important you mentioned, um, so Sam, you were saying how a lot of people inhale oxygen and it doesn't actually get into the body. And when you said that, I actually took a breath and I was like, so can you explain that a little bit? What do you mean by that?
Oh, sure. So actually, some of it does get into the body in terms of it gets into the red blood cells,
Hmm.
but from the red blood cells, it has to go into the body. The red blood cells carry
Mm,
oxygen, and they're very good. They go around like 500,000 times carrying oxygen for you, and then need to be replaced. But while they're doing that, if the oxygen cannot go from very highly concentrated in the red blood cells to going into water. So then what happens, and this is what science in general doesn't know, it's not yet accepted by everybody because we just discovered it. And we do have a school of thought that agrees with this. But basically, the white blood cells have to take that oxygen from the red blood cells and make it soluble. They pack it into really, really tight, highly concentrated oxygen bullets. And so that's what causes us to live. That's what gives us the spark for our nerves to work. And it also gives us the fire to destroy things like viruses, to destroy things like cancer, and actually to oxidize things like gasoline and nail polish and what have you.
I also want to make a
Nice.
comment because with our products, like with our biooxygen water, with our bioreactor, it's based on the science of rocks. And what Sam was referring to, those highly concentrated bullets, like that has 2.5 times the amount of oxygen compared to red blood cells. So it builds up those
Powerful.
oxygen reserves in your system. So we breathe like tens of thousands of breaths per day because we always need that oxygen. But we're fighting the pollutants in our air. We're fighting those environmental factors. So here, if you build up your oxygen reserve, say with the bioreactor in your home or in your workplace, or with drinking the biooxygen water, you really build that immune system.
You know what I'm picturing right now as you guys are speaking? I'm picturing your product on an airplane. So I know when I'm on an
Okay.
airplane and someone is sick and they're sneezing, I'm like, that is going everywhere because there's no way to get it out. And on buses too.
You're so right. Actually, I've got designs for an airplane, but actually,
Mm.
the biooxygen beverage, we can make some in 3-ounce containers that you can take on an airplane. We just had a
Ah,
bicycle team go to Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and they're serious bicyclers, like 500 miles in each place, this kind of thing.
wow.
So my friend who was taking biooxygen beverage with her, she also has the bioreactor, by the way, the reactor in her house. But when you're on an airplane, you can't carry that in. So she was taking these 3-ounce bottles, but they're 4 3-ounce bottles in a baggie. So that's allowed on the airplane. 20 hours of flying, and they all got sick except for her. And so she'd
Wow.
pour some in her mouth and gargle and swallow. And throughout the 20 hours, she drank the 12 ounces of super concentrated biooxygen. And she showed
Wow.
me a picture in Thailand with her on a hammock, relaxing. One of her teammates had to go back to the US, had to stop the trip. She had such bad bronchitis. So the airplane is a really, really nasty place in terms of breathing.
Yes, they need you. They need you.
You know what? We have also our bioreactors are used in various industries, especially with animals and equestrian barns and those type of things. So
Mm.
we have a client who's a world-class show jumper, and he travels with our bioreactors throughout the world. So as his horses
Beautiful.
on planes, he brings the bioreactors there because even when you land, different air quality can impact the horses. And we had a whole study done with Olympic skier Bodie Miller because he had a
Mm.
horse barn, a horse farm. And you would see that he had our bioreactors because it works with animals in particular, because animals, this is the truth, they pee where they sleep, they
Yep.
where they eat, those type of things. So they're exposed to the ammonia. So what Sam
Yeah.
was referring to earlier, formaldehyde, that's one organic solvent, but especially with animals and animal agriculture, ammonia is an issue. So our bioreactor captures and destroys that ammonia. And then we had a whole study with Bodie Miller's horses, and you would see those ROX levels, those oxygen levels would increase with the horses, and it really improved their quality of health. And we've even seen with various horse barns and owners where horses they can have asthma and those type of things from particulates like dust in the barn, those type of things. And some owners have seen those type of symptoms improve, such as asthma in horses, with using our bioreactor. So it really does make an impact for both humans and animals and overall pollutants in the air.
Yes.
On the horses, we actually took blood samples And we have a special instrument that we invented that measures the reserves of oxygen, and it also measures how your white blood cells make this oxygen into these bundles, into these bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's how it happens. The body is really a fascinating thing. People don't think that you can get some very, very high temperatures inside the body, but the body does that, because to kill cancer, you have to kill the DNA. And to kill the DNA, you need twice the boiling point of water. But the body is so good, it does it at exactly that spot. And so it gets a lot less damage to the rest of the tissues, and the white blood cells come and just pick up the remnants and clean it up. So that's how the fight is done against viruses and against cancer. We're learning a lot. Actually, some parts of the body run at a higher temperature than others. Of course, we're warm-blooded, so that has to be. But like the nerves run very high. The brain and the spinal column can get really hot, and also the liver. The liver can get hotter than the rest of the body. The liver is detoxifying.
And also our brain and spinal cord, they consume 20% of our body's oxygen. So really improving those reserves of oxygen improves, say, your brain function, like brain fog. A lot of our clients, after using our family of products, really note that they see improvement with brain fog, those type of things. So really those oxygen reserves improve various components of your health, and it impacts different organs as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you guys were speaking, you jumped ahead in my mind. You literally read my question out of my brain. But what kind of health benefits do people see when they start inhaling the oxygen that your BioOx product allows them? Like, what are things? I'm imagining more energy, brain fog gone, just a better, bigger awareness. Yeah, what are some of the things?
Well, Sam has a lot of experience with our research studies. So we saw a lot. We had two major research studies with Rutgers, one on pain management, another with hepatitis C. I'll defer to Sam to speak to a lot of those details because he was involved with the study. But
Okay.
really, a lot of times, those patients that had higher oxygen reserves, they should experience better quality of health, like less extreme pain, those type of things, or less inflammation, especially if they have hepatitis C. So I'll defer to Sam to speak to more of those research studies, but we've had several at major research universities.
And before he does, I want to say how important like inflammation and reducing
Oh,
inflammation
yes.
in the body is, because that is the number one cause of dis-ease in the body. People don't understand and realize how important controlling inflammation is. It would make the biggest difference. So yeah, Sam, please explain.
So going back just really quickly, the biooxygen beverage, you actually drink it.
Okay.
So that's absorbable oxygen. So the body knows what to do with it exactly. Like for instance, I want to give an example with a dog with cancer. In this case, she had tumors all over her. She was losing her fur, and after drinking some BioOxygen Plus, which is a stronger kind, with her first a serving of BioOxygen Plus, they came from New York City to New Jersey, and the gentleman who brought her was going to the bathroom, and I was saying, Lexi, please, that's all. He's going to be right back. And she was kind of groggy and everything. So he came back out, and he gave her one serving. And then they were about to go back to New York with their BioOxygen beverage. And he went back to the bathroom, and she was going to go follow him, and I was going to tell her that no, she already knew he was in the bathroom. She gave me a nod. That was really surprising that she actually nodded to me. So it immediately, her body decided that the first place this oxygen needs to go, this absorbable oxygen, is to her brain. And so
one point, Sam, before you finish, because you're speaking to that where the body knows where to place the oxygen. And I like to say that really the body has intelligence. So it's targeting exactly where it needs oxygen the most. So especially like where he's using an example with a dog with cancerous tumors, the oxygen within our BioOxygen supplement, it has intelligence, so it knows exactly to target that tumor, because in order to shrink the tumor, it needs oxygen.
With the dogs, what we did was we made this beverage, but the main thing we were after is to take the cancer under control. The cancer just gives you these tiny little eggs, so to speak, everywhere, spreads the seeds everywhere every single day. Some people say around 2% of the tumor goes. So if you can attack the tumor and prevent the cancer from spreading, then you keep it under control. And gradually, with Lexi, the dog, the tumor started disappearing. We recently had a cat that was scheduled for 2 operations, one for her paw and one for her shoulder. They took the paw tumor out first, but by the time it came for the shoulder, it disappeared. The shoulder tumor disappeared. She was drinking the beverage. So this speaks to our immune system. Your immune system is smarter than the doctors. You know, when somebody gets cancer, they say, oh, what kind of a cancer is it? Ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, this cancer? No, it's cancer. And if it's a brand new kind of cancer, the body will recognize it before science says what kind it is, you know? So, but what we're saying is the body does recognize the cancer. Science is saying the body does not. We're saying the body does recognize the cancer, and we're science too, by the way. But it doesn't have the energy to kill it. And for the energy, it needs a lot of oxygen. It needs enough oxygen, like ammunition, to do some serious damage to the cancer. So all this is related to the air scrubber, to the bioreactor, because the bioreactor itself, that's how it works too. It makes this soluble oxygen. It makes this dissolvable oxygen in order for the water to kill the microbes. And also, while it's doing that, it releases some into the air. So some people they actually like to breathe the air that's coming out of it because it is healthy. It's kind of like when somebody is sick, they're sent to the mountains, the tuberculosis clinics, they're sent to the mountains and all that. Yes, the trees make it, you know, and good healthy soil makes it. Good healthy water makes it too. So they are getting some absorbable oxygen, not just regular oxygen gas. And so what we're doing basically is we're bringing the mountains back into the bioreactor and letting it generate it. There's waterfalls in there, and this waterfall does generate the same kind of thing that a healthy waterfall in the mountains does. So we're not doing anything different than what nature is doing.
We call it the dome of influence. Like, it really sets that dome where you have the natural waterfall within our bioreactor, as well as we have a media filled with enzymes, and that digests all those contaminants. And you really start seeing like we are using the power of nature, and even organically, people and animals are drawn to that clean air. Like, even when we use, say, the bioreactor in equestrian barns, there was a concern that horses might knock over the bioreactor, those type of things. If anything, the horses sensed that it was clean air, decontaminating the air naturally, so they would nuzzle. Remember, they would nuzzle the bioreactor. So there is an attraction there.
Animals really recognize it. Cats and dogs really recognize it. They want to sleep near it because they can actually smell healthy air.
Wow, that's amazing. What an amazing product. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners where to find you, how they can get a hold of you? Because I just think so many people are going to be interested in this.
Sure, please find us online, BioOx, BIOOX.us. You'll find a whole plethora of research studies there. We spoke of the Bodie Miller study, the Rutgers Medical School studies. Also, we have a whole poultry house study. I know the avian flu is definitely, H5N1 is in the news. And we had a whole study done in poultry houses, a control versus treatment, one using the bioreactor, one not. And you start seeing again in poultry houses, especially, and this impacts really our food supply, of ammonia levels. So there's ammonia is a chronic issue within poultry houses. And so we saw an extreme reduction of ammonia, and then also a reduction in mortality rate. So a lot of very interesting studies there. So feel free to learn more, and then also reach out to us. There's a get to know us form you're welcome to fill out, and a member of our team, especially a sales team member, if you're interested in learning more and getting an estimate or following up with the purchase, feel free to reach out to us directly there. Also on our social media channels, we have a LinkedIn profile, Facebook, Instagram. So we share all of our latest and greatest news there. We're being featured in a lot of different publications, and we have a lot of interesting articles out there. So we would love to stay in contact with your listeners.
Amazing. And just clarify for everyone where your product is already. I'm imagining hospitals.
Yes.
I'm
Oh, yes,
imagining the
absolutely.
everyday home.
The
Yeah,
everyday
tell us.
home, research labs, gross anatomy labs, operating rooms, equestrian barns, poultry houses, dog kennels, and just many more, even hair salons because of the
Hmm.
formaldehyde with the different hair dyes, and
Totally.
also aquatic centers. That's a major one.
Mhm.
We're in with major universities like NYU, because with Olympic-sized pools, they use so much chlorine in their water. Not only is there chlorine in the water, but then it starts hitting you, the chlorine in the air. So what this does is when our bioreactors are used in those aquatic centers, it captures and destroys that chlorine that's in the air. So it really helps, again, with that irritation and inflammation that can happen in your respiratory system and your lungs. So we're really used within a plethora of industries and locations.
Yeah, I also picture you guys in the hotel industries. Um, I know their air quality is awful. I had like three sinus infections one year because I stayed in a hotel, because their air quality and what you just said about the pool and the chlorine smell. Um, yeah, every time I stay in a hotel, I get sick. So you guys got to take over that industry too.
Yeah, we'd like to. I think when I travel, I carry my bioreactor with me, and I plug it
Okay.
into the hotel. Yeah, start cleaning up that room at least.
Amazing. So everybody listening, you guys need this. We all need cleaner air. We all need to, improve our bodies with more better oxygen levels. And you heard it from them. It can change a lot for you and your animals. So beautiful. What a pleasure, you guys. It's been so much fun today.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you. It was a wonderful discussion. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Amazing. And thank you to our viewers and our listeners for tuning in. If you missed the first episode, as mentioned, go back on our channel, check it out, learn about the water that we were discussing today. Send this to your friends and family. Everybody deserves better health. To our sponsors, Spreaker and iHeartRadio, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Without you, today would not be possible. And until next time, I'm Lisa Urbanski with The Advisor.